Hey everybody, it's Becky. This is going to be fun. We're going to talk about 10 ways that you can homeschool using junk mail. This is going to be so great. Before you watch all the way through, if you're watching this as a replay, pause. I have a black and white copy of my homeschool success plan, which is a reminder to keep it simple. Okay, so let's talk about this junk mail. This is what reminded me. Now, I don't think that this is particularly junk because I love looking at homeschool resources, but this is what prompted this idea bank that I have coming at you today. I got this catalog in the mail yesterday, and it reminded me of some of the activities that we would do with our kids when they were younger. And that was to push traditional homeschool curriculum aside and to use what's at your fingertips. This is a wonderful free way to lean into reading and math and creativity and art. And so we're going to go through 10 ways that you can homeschool right from junk mail or catalogs that you have coming to your mailbox. Now, if you don't get junk mail at all, you can go to your local thrift store, you can go to the Goodwill, or you can even ask your neighbor. So get a hold of an actual catalog. There's something magic that happens when you can touch things. So be sure you grab your success plan. It is in the descriptions. Tip number 1, using junk mail. And let's go ahead and give ourselves a clean slate. Tip number 1, dun, dun, dun. Can't find a blank piece of paper. We'll get there. I love to doodle. Okay, tip number 1 is the obvious one. Ready? Read. You take a catalog, something that's interesting, and you just flip through and you read it together. It doesn't really matter the topics that are inside. You're just reading together, reading aloud as you're cooking, as you're cleaning. I'm using this course catalog as a backdrop for this 10 ways that you can use junk mail to homeschool your kids. So the first thing that you can do is just actually read the toy catalogs, the store catalogs or magazines that come in the mail. Doesn't matter what it is, just read. Tip number 2 is pause and pick something from inside the magazine to just talk about it. So an amazing skill is for your kids to look at a picture and then to form an opinion. What do you think she's painting? Conversation starter. All you're doing is just sparking their creativity. What kinds of colors do you think is on the tip of her paintbrush? Look at how bright it is outside. Where do you think she lives? Whatever comes to mind when you look at the picture. You can even just be quiet and ask the kids, I want you to look at this and I want you to see if you can find something that you think that I won't see in the picture. And just use the images inside the junk mail to spark an actual conversation. Tip number 3 with how to use junk mail to homeschool is to do mock shopping. This is a way to my kids used to love this. In the good old days, we'd get the toy magazines or the Lego magazines that would come in the mail. And so what you can do is you can give your kids a mock budget. Oh, make it big. Make it like $400, $4,000. Look at the magazine and make it appropriate. Make it a big number and say, okay, you have 3,000 imaginary dollars to spend from this magazine. You have half an hour to choose what you want, etc. And then they have to get as close to the $3,000 as possible, or as close to the number that you pick as possible. It's up to you whether or not they're allowed to use a calculator. I recommend allowing them to use a calculator because this is the world that our kids are growing up in. They have smartphones or access to calculators all over the place. The other thing you can do is you can say, but it has to be no less than this many things. The older the kids, the more items that they need to go. So that's tip number 3. So far we have read, we have conversation about what you see, doing mock shopping. Tip number 4 is to do a word collage. You could pick a theme, you could pick a vocabulary word, or you could just leave it completely up to your kids, where they hunt through the magazine and using the titles and the words that are printed inside the magazine, they'll cut them out and then paste them together on a piece of paper. Now, the idea behind using something like junk mail to spark curiosity and to be teaching your kids is to keep it fun and to allow for them to have creative control, or to choose that you have the reins of what it is that they're doing at the time. And the way to make these types of activities magical and wonderful is you need to do it too. This is not the time to give your kids magazines, scissors, and glue and then go talk on the phone or do the laundry. You get your own magazine or tear out pieces of magazines, and then you create word collages as well. Sometimes it's see how many words that you can find and paste on this piece of paper that describe what you want to be when you grow up, or how you're feeling today, or what you want for your birthday. Be creative. There are so many things that you can do just from the junk mail. It's fantastic. And cutting, if you're doing cutting or if the kids are tearing, are fine motor development skills. So don't think that you're wasting time. Don't think that this is a silly thing. Kids today have very poorly developed fine motor skills. My youngest son pointed this out when he had thought he was going to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. And as he was doing research, he discovered that there's a problem that the medical students of today don't have fine motor skills necessary to hold a scalpel. That's bad. So we want our kids to have amazing fine motor skills, even if they're not going to be surgeons. So that's number 4. Number 5, ways to homeschool from a junk magazine, is to just do creative storytelling. And you can do this in any way possible. If there are images, this one I actually opened the magazine yesterday and I pushed it across to my 19-year-old and I said, "This one makes me think of you," because he's our scientist. And so, how to become an expert stargazer. Oh, that's a story prompt right there. You can make it up. You could also say, "There I was, minding my own business. I pulled out my new telescope that I got from winning the contest for building the most creative Lego on the planet, and I was sitting under the stars. I looked through the glass and I couldn't believe my eyes." And then let your kids take it from there. So creative storytelling, amazing. This is unprompted. This is coming to you just as I'm looking at the pictures. And this is how you can lean into junk mail with your own kids. So at this point in the video, we are 5. We're halfway through. Say hi. Like this video and love it if you found it valuable so far. It helps us reach more homeschoolers, and more homeschoolers need to be set free from standard, rigid, strict curriculum. There are so many ways to teach our kids and to help them fall in love with learning. And it can be as simple as using junk mail from your mailbox. I promise you, so far they've read, they've talked, they've done math, they're building vocabulary, and now they're working on their creativity, all from a magazine that I'm going to throw away or burn, right? So it's amazing what you can do with junk mail. Tip number 6 is to go on a vocabulary hunt. When we had 5 kids, we still have 5 kids. We still have 5 sons. They're just all over the place now. When the 5 boys were younger, so I had a little who was probably 3 or 4, all the way up to high school. So I had 5 kids around the table. I remember taking magazines and I would take a Post-it and I would write a sight word on the Post-it. Didn't matter what it was. It could be it could be love, it could be anything. And I would give the little a highlighter, and I'd give him a page that I knew the word was on the page, and I would have him hunt for the sight word. This is a pre-reading skill. And at the same time that my oldest was able to read and do critical conversations and thinking and such with that junk mail. My little is actually hunting for the word on the page. And it was so fun. The other thing that you can do is you can, if you know the word is all throughout the page, you can teach them to do tally marks so that they can count how many times that word is on the page. So a vocabulary hunt. And you can stock the words in advance. You can use your whiteboard or your chalkboard or Post-its, and you can say, okay, find, and you give them pens or highlighters, find these 10 words, but I'm going to set a timer. Let's see how many you can find in 60 seconds. On your mark, get set, go. Vocabulary. Number 7 is that you can do a scavenger hunt. This takes the prep ahead of time where you flip through the magazine and you pull things that you find inside the magazine. It could be inside a picture, inside a title, inside the credits, inside a link. Use your creative skills. Hunting and searching inside the written word teaches your kids to scan through written material. That is a high level need, especially as they get into high school, college, or even in the job arena, where you don't have time to read every word in a white paper or a magazine to find the piece of information that you need. You have to be able to scan in order to find. So scavenger hunts through junk mail is an amazing way to help your kids practice scanning material and looking for tidbits or chunks. And you can make it easy for them to find so that you're using the big headings, or you can make it as hard as you want, depending on what level of challenge that your kids need. Aren't these fun? Teaching from junk mail is super, super fun. Now, if you've got kids that roll their eyes at this kind of stuff, tip number 8 is for you. They're going to hunt through the magazine and find the top 3 most boring pieces of information inside this magazine. One of my kids hated this kind of stuff. So I'd make him look for, I'd make him look for 3 boring things inside the magazine. And then he was required afterwards to we would hunt and find YouTube videos on one. He'd have to pick the most boring thing. He'd have to watch a 10-minute or read a 10-minute thing on that boring thing and allow himself to open up. Is it truly as boring, or is it just not my sweet spot? And we had a lot of really interesting conversations about something that was boring that flipped and became interesting because we found somebody that loved that topic and then talked about it from an area of passion. That's a pro tip. That's a pro tip. Okay. Have them find boring things. Tip number 9 is related, and that is, to find the most interesting thing that they can find in the magazine. And then when you find an interesting thing, so let's just randomly search. Oh my goodness, look at this. Explore Earth's most fantastic natural features. That's interesting. So then we would lean into this together and then hunt on the internet together, looking for more, right? We're wetting the whistle. When our kids show spark and interest, we lean in and we feed them more information. See, the key, mom, the key, dad, to making kids love to learn is that you have to be involved. You have to be smiling and excited, and you have to be present, right? You have to be rolling up your sleeves and digging in and doing this stuff as well. So before we get to number 10, let's recap super fast. Junk mail. You can read it together. You can talk about it together. You can do mock shopping if it's a catalog. You can do word collages. You can use the pictures or the words or the headings as creative story prompts. You can look for vocabulary or spelling words or numbers or symbols or whatever it is you're studying. You can set them up for scavenger hunts so that they're practicing their ability to scan. You can look for boring tidbits of pieces of information. You can look for interesting pieces of information. And then when you're all done. And these are just the ideas that I've done with my own kids over the past 25 years. the ones that I thought of in 5 minutes, right? There are so many things that you can do inside with, I mean, that you can do from junk mail. It is truly wide open. When you're done, you can turn it into a craft. And I'm going to show you how to do this. Look at this paper flower. You can make paper flowers out of magazines or airplanes or beads, paper beads. So let me show. The link is the link. Did I have? I shared the link. So the link is from Rock and Roll Bride, How to Make Your Own Paper Flowers. Super easy. So what you do is you take a page and you find the color that you want at the tips of the flowers. Like, and this is not a super colorful magazine. The more colorful, the better. But what you do is oh, here we go. Let's use the cover. So you'll take a piece of paper from the magazine. Again, it's junk mail. It's going to the trash anyway. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fold so that the color is showing, the color that you would want to show at the tip of the flower. I just remembered I forgot to grab scissors. So we're going to do a rip flower. That's okay. You're going to get the gist in just a second. So you're going to fold it up so that the edge is the most colorful. And then you're just going to kind of do an accordion fold. The directions are easy to follow on that link. You're going to just fold up the magazine so that the fold is all together. It's hard to do holding this in the air. So now you have the edges that are open. This is the folded side, right? You're going to cut in strips, but leaving about 1/4 of an inch or a centimeter on the end. You're going to cut it into strips. So while I am tearing this, because I forgot my scissors, let's see. Always throw away all of it. What a great idea. Kids love junk mail. Kids absolutely love junk mail. This is so good. So go ahead, and the reason this is a good one is not just because you're recycling, and this isn't going to be as pretty as yours because you're going to actually cut into really thin little strips. Even tearing like this is a fine motor development. If your littles are cutting, then what you can do is you can draw a line on there with a ruler and they don't cut past that line so that they don't accidentally cut off all the petals of the flower. But you want to do all kinds of things that help build these fine motor skills in your kids. We're 1/4 of the way done. What do you think? 10 ways to use junk mail to homeschool your kids. In these 10 things, we've developed fine motor skills. We've developed reading, scanning ability. We've developed vocabulary. We've spent time with our kids and let them know that they are wonderful and that we love being around them. We have identified possibly creative ways or things that they find interesting so that the next time we're at the library or we're looking for things to study, we know what to kind of peek at, right? We know to look for astronomy things or painting or whatever it is that they identify. Okay, let's just pretend. So what you need to do the paper flowers, I'm going to tear the end off because you'll get the gist. And again, tip number 10 is that we are making paper flowers, right, with our magazines. So you have it shredded. I don't know if you can see that. You have it shredded from your scissors. And now you're taking a skewer or chopsticks. We have chopsticks at home. And what you're going to do is you're going to lay the colorful side down and you're going to tape the skewer onto the end. So I need to lay it down here to do that. So I'm taping my shredded magazine onto the stick. And the kids would do that so that it's like this. And then what they're going to do is they're going to roll it really tightly. And the flower is going to start, the petals are going to start to come together. This one's not going to turn out as well because I didn't shred it super neatly. Whoa. And when you're all done, you're going to come around. Yeah, I'd use scissors. Scissors are better. The scissor one came out better. Then you're going to tape it. And you're going to have paper flowers. You can even get fancy and you can wrap it with floral tape and you can put it in a vase and you can make paper flower bouquets with for gifts or things, and it is super fun. So there you have it. 10 ways to homeschool with junk mail. If you found this interesting, please like, love, and comment. And if you know a mom that would love this, just tag her by dropping her name in the comments below so that we can share these types of activities and that people can be set free from formal curriculum. Anyway, have a great day. Love you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.